Now at 9, we've had one round of wintry weather and one more to come. I'll give you those details.
Due to wintry weather, some school districts are canceling classes while others are going virtual. I'm Briana with the criteria that districts follow to make these decisions.
D.C. police are putting precautions in place as truckers plan to head to the nation's capital to protest. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with why they're protesting and how D.C. officials are responding coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abby. One round of winter weather down. Another round coming up tonight. Meteorologist Doug Haley joining us now. Doug.
Yeah, that's why we are still in winter storm warning mode along and south of Interstate 44. North of I-44, you are mainly a winter weather advisory. Here's good news. This round's not going to be near as intense as what we saw today. It may last a little bit longer. Our round today only lasted about 3 to 4 hours, but this will not come down at the rate that we did see with the batch earlier today. Not much going on out there now. We had this batch, of course, roll through, and then things calmed down. And I think we'll be fairly calm as we go through the next few hours, but especially after about 3 o'clock in the morning, things will start to get going once again. Of course, I'll break down the entire forecast for you. And when are we going to warm up here in just a bit?
Thank you, Doug. The winter weather is creating some dangerous road conditions across the area. This was earlier today, but dangerous road conditions still exist. Earlier, this car in Joplin ran off the road near Landreth Park, went into the creek as we saw. Joplin fire crews rescued the driver. Thankfully, there were no injuries reported. When weather changes as quickly as it has over the past couple of days, our school districts have to make some tough decisions. And deciding to cancel in-person classes can be even more difficult when debating between going virtual or taking it as a snow day. KOM's Briana explains how these decisions are made.
Wednesday's wintry weather didn't come in full effect until a few hours after what would have been a normal school day. But many area superintendents made the decision early Wednesday morning to have students stay home. While some had an AMI day, others had a snow day. It all comes down to the numbers.
So AMI is an alternative method of instruction, and it is approved by our State Department that we're allowed to have up to 36 hours of AMI in a school year. And so different districts take different approaches. There is a minimum 1,044 student hours that you have to have in the state of Missouri for a school year.
The Joplin School District used the weather as an AMI day so students wouldn't miss out on anything. The third of 5 they can take per year.
So we are on our 3rd AMI day. We have 2 more after today that we could utilize. And, different activities with students from home that they will complete and turn into their teachers for credit for their learning.
In McDonald County, they've used many of their AMI days amid COVID spreads.
A couple of AMI days were used for the weather. The others were also used for when COVID had the spike, and many of our staff and students had been sick. We used those AMI days to make up for some of those days that we didn't go to school.
Now they're using Wednesday's weather as a snow day, meaning eventually it would need to be made up.
The administration will look at the calendar and figure out the best way on how to make these days up. And they'll look at the days that we have left and try to figure that out.
In the end, it's all about the best way to keep students and staff safe. In Joplin, in McDonald County, Briana, KOAM News.
Many area administrators attended a conference call early this morning with the National Weather Service to discuss the best course of action amid this inclement weather. Officials with Freeman Health System say they're only caring for 10 COVID-19 patients currently. Earlier this month, the number was 50. With these numbers declining, we asked Freeman about their plans for the COVID unit. Officials say it's going to stay open for now, but could eventually transition to just an isolation unit.
So there's always seems like every 3 to 5 years there's some new and exciting thing that seems like it crops up that affects our health. And so, being set up to be able to provide those resources as we need to.
We have bed capacity, we have capacity.
Officials also say they're reconsidering their visitors policy, Freeman's visitors policy, but no decisions have been made as of yet. Nation's capital bracing for truckers who are hoping for an Ottawa-style blockade around D.C. They intend to protest vaccine mandates, among other issues. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the security precautions being taken ahead of this anticipated demonstration.
A convoy of truckers in California gearing up to travel cross-country to the nation's capital. And in Scranton, Pennsylvania, a smaller group taking off Wednesday morning, bound for the same destination. The two just some of several organizations aiming to stage protests like the one that recently paralyzed the Canadian capital of Ottawa over the country's COVID-19 mandates.
Kudos to Canada for starting all this.
Bob Bolas is leading the convoy from Scranton with a list of grievances that he says is driving him and other protesters, from COVID restrictions to higher prices.
It's about our rights. It's was that Biden administration has taken. The states have taken.
Bolas had planned to shut down all but one lane of the Capitol Beltway, but didn't seem to get nearly enough supporters. And the People's Convoy's official line is that it won't be going into D.C. proper. But police aren't taking chances, especially in the wake of the January 6th Capitol riot.
People said, oh, don't let them put up a fence. That's not my call. That's a security call.
700 National Guard troops are also being deployed to help local law enforcement with traffic. They won't be carrying firearms. Still, some lawmakers say the precautions are necessary, while others believe they're overkill.
I think the symbolism of it is bad, but I think it's an overreaction and a bad optic for the president, a bad optic for the country.
Authorities plan to keep their guard up until at least the State of the Union next week. The D.C. National Guard plans to assist through March 7th. In Washington, Malda Rivera, Fox News.
Missouri House has endorsed legislation that could expand the number of school personnel allowed to carry guns. Current law lets teachers and administrators undergo training to function as school protection officers. A bill endorsed by a voice vote in the House, though, would expand that to any school personnel. The bill needs another House vote to advance to the Senate. As of last August, there were 42 school staff across the state who had undergone training as protection officers. Nearly 2 years after Briana Taylor was shot and killed in her apartment, as Louisville, Kentucky police were serving a no-knock warrant, the only officer to face criminal charges is now on trial. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has details now from the first day of court.
The trial now underway for the only Kentucky officer facing criminal charges in the deadly raid that killed Briana Taylor. Former officer Brett Hankison on trial for shooting into Taylor's neighbor's apartment when he allegedly fired 10 shots near a side door while carrying out a no-knock warrant on Taylor's apartment in 2020. None hit her, but one of those bullets entered another unit, endangering her neighbors and their young son. In opening arguments, the prosecution saying it's not a case about who is responsible for Taylor's death or the validity of the search warrant, but about the actions of one officer and the man nearly hit by a stray bullet.
He shot into the apartment building. His bullets went through apartment 4 into apartment 3 and nearly hit Cody Etherton.
On the stand, Etherton recalls jumping out of bed when he heard gunfire, saying the officers were reckless.
Just debris started going past my head, my face. I don't even remember how many shots I heard because it was just so chaotic.
The defense agreeing it was a chaotic situation, but arguing Hankison was justified in his action, firing back after Taylor's boyfriend shot at the cops.
He was attempting to defend and save the lives of his brother officers.
Charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment, Hankison is expected to take the stand during the 2-week trial. He's facing up to 5 years in prison if convicted. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another 4-state hero. Roy Allen served in the Marines from 1972 to 74. Native of Carthage, Missouri, Allen won several awards. We are proud to thank Anthony Private First Class Roy Allen. He's tonight's 4-state hero. Meteorologist Doug Hetty. I was going to say Nick Kelly. Nick Kelly's sitting near Doug Hetty, but it's going to be Doug tonight. Next, with a complete look at the forecast a bit later. Missouri Southern women moving up the regional rankings this week and have details, of course, in sports.
President's Day is...
Well, of course, turned out to be kind of a crazy day for us today. We had the very intense sleet and snow, had thunder snow, had thunder sleet at times, and due to that thunder, which is, in a sense, it's a thunderstorm, it's just not raining we're getting sleet or snow instead. But that's why the rates were so high as it came down. It only came down for about 3 hours, but boy, it really piled up. Winter storm warnings continue along and south of I-44. Most of the rest of us are under winter weather advisories, which are going to continue as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow. You see this big band that rotated through. Now, since that band has rotated through, we've been getting very light freezing drizzle or very light little snow showers, not really accumulating, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the next several hours. You can see a couple little pockets where it's a little bit heavier. It's all light, but it's going to kind of spit on us for the next several hours, and then we'll start to see things ramp up a little bit more as we go late tonight. Look at our temps, mid-teens. I do think we're going to slowly rise as we head toward dawn to near 20 degrees. It has been windy. The wind cuts right through you. We still have a northeasterly wind at about 10 miles per hour. Main system, the upper level wave is actually weakening as it pushes out. It's really stretching apart, and that's why we're not going to have a ton of moisture with the second wave, which is going to rotate through. But you can see all the freezing rain, sleet down through central parts of Arkansas. This will start to fill back in. Eastern Oklahoma, northern parts of Texas, you can see it developing just a little bit east of Dallas. So that moisture will head toward us, but here's the good news. It's not going to be near as intense as what we had today. We're going to have some pockets of moderate sleet or moderate snow at times, but not near as intense as what we had today. This is mainly going to be fairly light. All right, light sleet and snow starting to pick up over the next few hours. It expands a little bit, picks up in intensity just a little bit after 3 o'clock in the morning. So we'll have periods of light sleet mixed with light snow. Here's tomorrow morning, 6:30 in the morning. Then I think the heaviest will rotate through about 9, 10 o'clock. And then after that, we won't get anything really accumulating. It's just going to be light snow showers kind of pushing through as we go into the afternoon hours. Temperatures still cold, but at least better than what we saw today. 20 to start, 23 by noon. Then a high temp right around 26, northerly winds at about 5 to 10. All right, tomorrow night we start to clear out. It gets really cold. We're going to have that ice on the ground. I think these numbers are too high. I think we'll drop probably to 5 or 6 degrees for an overnight low tomorrow night. So super cold. Saturday into Friday, it gets a little bit better. We do get some clouds in here, but we should make it up right around 30 degrees during the afternoon. All right, road conditions, they have improved over the past few hours just because we haven't had the heavy sleet and snow, but they're still pretty bad or tricky. They're going to stay that way through the overnight hours with our next batch. Once it gets out of here by about the noon hour, the roads will improve as we go into tomorrow evening. But if you don't have to go out, don't go out. It's cold. You don't want to be out there anyways. All right, additional sleet and snow in the blue, which is most of us, 1/2 inch, maybe upwards to 1 inch. Again, not as intense as what we had today. I'm thinking about 1/2 inch as some snow mixes in, maybe 1 inch. Lesser amounts on the Kansas side, a dusting to about 1/2 inch across the region. 26 tomorrow, 30 as we head into Friday, 39 Saturday, near 50 by Sunday, near 70 by next Wednesday.
Crazy. One positive with the winter storm, today anyway, is it's inconvenient, right? But it was on par with the forecast.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that last night. It's not going to be a huge storm. It's going to be an inconvenience.
Yep. We thank you for that, Doug Eddy. Thank you so much. The winter storm stretching across the country as airlines scrapping flights. More than 1,500 U.S. flights were canceled today, and more than 1,000 flights have already been canceled for tomorrow. So if you have a flight out tomorrow, check the status beforehand, right? Coming up, fully prepared for invasion.
A dire warning about Russia coming from the Pentagon. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have details on the Ukrainian conflict coming up.
Shelter in.
The crisis in Ukraine escalating once again. The Pentagon says Russian President Vladimir Putin looks, quote, fully prepared to carry out a large-scale invasion of Ukraine. And just a few minutes ago, Putin announced Russia is going to be launching military operations in eastern Ukraine. And the UN Security Council is hosting an emergency meeting about the potential conflict. Fox News correspondent Caroline Shively has more details now from Washington.
Pro-Kremlin activists hit the streets of St. Petersburg Wednesday to celebrate Russia's moves on Ukraine. While on the ground in Kyiv, Ukrainians are grimly preparing to fight.
My friends are ready to protect, to defend our country.
Ukraine's foreign minister warned the United Nations General Assembly that the effects of an invasion would be felt worldwide.
If a permanent member of the UN Security Council succeeds in breaking literally all rules, other actors will be inspired by him and follow his pattern.
The Biden administration is ready to impose more sanctions depending on Russia's next move.
If Moscow's approach changes, we remain ready to engage. Diplomacy cannot succeed unless Russia changes course.
Members of Congress are split on whether sanctions are enough.
I think the president has full knowledge of what impact these sanctions will have and is fully ready to go all the way.
They have not brought guns to a gunfight, and I don't think that's going to be sufficient to deter Vladimir Putin.
There is some unity on Capitol Hill. A bipartisan group of lawmakers has crafted a measure that would require congressional authority before involving U.S. troops in Ukraine. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Still ahead, more crime.
Carjackings across the country are spiking, and one big city mayor is warning people should be concerned about their safety. I'm David Lee Miller in New York. The details coming up. Vote now.
$5.8 billion. That's how much consumers lost to fraud last year. That's according to the Federal Trade Commission. That marks a record and is up 70% from 2020. The average person lost $500. Among the leading scams, fraudsters stealing data to file fake unemployment claims and peddling phony products like hand sanitizer and masks. Officials in a number of major cities are reporting an uptick in the number of carjackings. This comes as violent crime continues to create a strain for police departments in some major cities, including New York, Philly, Minneapolis. Fox News correspondent David Lee Miller has this story.
An alarming rise in carjackings is gripping cities across the country. The Philadelphia Police Department releasing footage of this incident as a suspect jumped into a running vehicle double parked along a street. Moments later, the suspect appears to bail out of the car, causing the vehicle to crash into another car. Mayor Jim Kenney says the uptick of carjackings is worrisome.
People should be concerned about their safety, be concerned about in a car what's around me. It's what you do in the city.
Meanwhile, in New York City, 11-year-old Daniel Richardson Perez is speaking out. Perez recounts the moment an unknown man drove off with him inside the car as his dad went supermarket shopping. The suspect allegedly drove for 20 minutes before letting him out of the vehicle.
I was just staying quiet, kind of panicking a little bit, and then once he saw that I had a phone, and I don't know, something that I did made him want to drop me off.
Carjackings like these are becoming more and more common. In Minneapolis, carjackings are up 63%. In New York, the number has spiked by 56%. Chicago has seen an uptick of carjackings by 30%. And Washington, D.C., up 18%. Investigators say, in many cases, gangs are coordinating these carjacking efforts.
I would say there are several carjacking rings operating in the city at the present time. I'm going to say they're loosely organized.
Philadelphia police have announced the arrest of Jonathan Akubu. He is accused of being the leader of a carjacking ring. He is allegedly linked to more than 4 dozen carjacking incidents. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Next, going to visit Israel to look at that thing. Hear more about this. There's a new world record for heaviest strawberry. An Israeli farmer breaking a Guinness World Record, growing the world's heaviest strawberry. The fruit is 7 inches long, weighs more than 10 ounces. It's from the Elan variety, a bread known for its large size, so it's known to be big. However, even researchers were surprised by this one, explaining developing one this size requires very special conditions. They also say the fruit developed for more than 45 days from flowering, causing its large size at the full ripening stage. The strawberry tops the previous record holder of nearly 9 ounces, which was a Japanese variety back in 2015. It's going to make some awesome strawberry pie. You know, that's what I was thinking of. You know, take a picture of it, take some video of it like they did, get your fame, but then eat it. Don't let it go to waste, you know. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How a new program in Pittsburgh is bringing computer programmers together. Plus, home prices are rising at rates not seen in decades. Pittsburgh organizations and companies are working to move toward the city's tech future. Kansas Board of Regents recently approved a new computer science major for Pitt State. And today, the college, along with Limelight Marketing, kicked off a new monthly meeting of computer programmers called SEK Dev Connect.
A lot of it's about networking and just community building. So having communities of professionals like this from different backgrounds who are all interested in technology in some way coming together, that shows our students that, hey, there are groups of people around here who have this interest and who want to, be together and that you can be a part of.
Today's meeting was hosted in the community room of Block 22. Science was the focus of a meeting over at Pittsburgh High School. Kate Beers from the National Institute of Standards and Technology spoke to those high school students from Pittsburgh and Columbus.
It's really important. I think that understanding what kind of choices they have available to them and the kinds of skills that they can develop and acquire and either bring back to their hometown.
Beers will also speak to PSU students in the Plastics Engineering Technology and Polymer Chemistry program. Well, a recent study showing red and processed meats don't increase the risk of death. Researchers from the U.S. followed more than 1,000 patients with stage 3 of colon cancer for up to 8 years. In some of these cases, the illness is returned and ended in death. However, it was not linked to their eating of red or processed meats. That's according to scientists anyway. The American Cancer Society recommends cancer survivors limit their consumption of red meat despite the limited relationship between the illnesses and the products. The study, by the way, published in the JAMA Network Open. Recent study showing brain processing speeds stay high until age 60. A study published by the journal Nature Human Behavior analyzed more than 1 million participants from a number of ages. It took an online experiment measuring their reaction time to a cognitive task. Now, research shows response time starts to slow at the age of 20 due to the desire to be cautious about decisions, but not because of mental speed. I thought that was interesting. However, after the age of 60, scientists saw a decline in results because of the participants' age. The analysis also suggested people between 18 to 20 were least cautious as they were more willing to trade accuracy for speed. U.S. home prices seeing the biggest increase in at least 34 years, and Wall Street wants in. Private equity firms are pouring money into the market, turning first-time home buyers into renters. Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis is in New York with more.
Higher prices just keep on coming for the housing market. The latest data showing prices are up 18.8% in the nation's biggest housing markets. That's the highest jump in 34 years. Now, to give you a sense of how starter homes are selling, check out the pink house over my shoulder. We're in Eastchester, New York. That house on offer for just a shade under $700,000. Adding insult to injury, taxes are $16,000. All of this getting a lot of attention from Wall Street, who are buying these homes hand over fist for cash and renting them out. But that's pushing out first-time home buyers, who've declined to 27% of the buying market from 33%. Now, 1 in 7 homes is being purchased by institutional investors. Another barrier to entry, interest rates. They're just below 4%. This is creating a mania in the market. Listen.
I do not want to be part of people driving up these crazy prices. It feels out of control. It feels irresponsible. It feels like I don't know what is going to happen to this real estate market in a few years and what's going to happen to all these people who are just spending.
And there's one other barrier for first-time buyers. That's inventories, which are falling, down 23% year over year. In Eastchester, New York, Jerry Willis, Fox Business.
And a bit later, another story about rising crime. This type of crime, though, may be more unique.
Beekeepers are keeping an extra eye on their hives these days. I'm Marianne Rafferty, and I'll have more on what has them spooked coming up.
John's Credit Report.
Well, of course, today turned out to be a nasty day out there. We had the sleet, we had the snow, very intense at times. We only had a really a big band for about 3 hours, but boy, did it come down. Had some thunder sleet, thunder snow. Areas that got mainly sleet, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, upwards to an inch of sleet, especially in our southern counties. In Joplin, 3/4 of an inch of sleet, and then it was more snow once you got back out through southeastern Kansas, some areas 2 to 4 inches. So the rates were really high. Still winter storm warning along and south of I-44, winter weather advisory. Everybody else except Woodson County, Yates Center, you are not under the advisory. All right, look at the big bands of snow and sleet rotating through, and then it tapered off about 3 o'clock. And then since that point in time, we've had some light little snow showers kind of spitting out there. It has increased just a little bit. So we have some light sleet and freezing drizzle, and then kind of light snow showers. It's still windy, so it's just kind of going sideways. It's not really accumulating, but we are getting those light snow showers, which will continue as we go through the rest of the overnight hours. Mid-teens, we're actually warmer than we were a few hours ago. We're slowly rising. We're going to continue that trend. Does not feel good, though. We have these northeasterly winds at about 10, so that wind just kind of cuts right on through you. Here's the main wave, which is actually weakening as it pulls out. It's kind of stretching out. It's losing some of its energy, but still strong enough that it's going to give us a little bit of a punch later on tonight as we start to see some heavier moisture picking up in parts of Texas and then eventually eastern parts of Oklahoma. Again, we have the very light snow, the very light sleet out there right now, which will increase a little bit as we go through the next few hours. Here's midnight, patches of light sleet and snow as warm air aloft moves in. So the areas that are getting light snow showers now will most likely transition over to light sleet. Light sleet really picking up after 3 a.m., then pockets of sleet and snow tomorrow morning. I think the heaviest will be out of here by 9 or 10 o'clock, and then we transition back to what it's doing outside right now. Just kind of the light snow just going sideways, not much of accumulation by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon. 20 to start, so we rise to 20, 23 by noon, high temp right around 26. All right, tomorrow night we start to clear out, which is good. Unfortunately, our temperatures take a dip. I think we'll go down into the single digits by the time we head into Friday morning. At least Friday looks better. We make it up right around 30 by the time we head into the afternoon hours, and it gets better as we head into the weekend. All right, the roads, they're not good. If you don't have to be out, don't go. They're going to stay bad through the overnight hours, and then once we get through this event, so tomorrow afternoon, the roads will start to improve a little bit, and then I think they'll be fine by the time we head, well, most of them pretty good by the time we head into Friday. But yeah, if you don't have to go out, don't go out. It's cold too. All right, additional sleet and snow. If it's majority snow, we'll push an inch. If it's majority sleet, probably another 1/2 inch for most of us, and then a dusting to 1/2 inch in all of our western counties. But again, storm totals kind of in that 1 to 2 inch range of sleet and snow for most of us. The areas that have already gotten heavier snow, of course, is going to be a little bit higher than that. 26 tomorrow, 30 on Friday, near 40 Saturday, near 50 Sunday, near 60 Monday, near 70 by Wednesday. So we really take those steps upward heading into next week.
Yeah, tomorrow night though.
Yeah, it's going to be cold.
Oh, no
yeah.
kidding. Doug Heddy, thanks as always.
You bet.
A landmark settlement between the U.S. Soccer Federation and the women's national team resolving the outstanding equal pay claims in litigation. Fox News correspondent Briana has reaction to this deal.
Big win for the U.S. women's national soccer team. The team and its governing body, the U.S. Soccer Federation, reaching a $24 million settlement Tuesday, resolving a 6-year-long dispute over equal pay.
It's a Herculean task to win a World Cup. This felt just as Herculean or probably bigger.
The off-the-field battle began in 2016 when 5 players filed a federal wage discrimination complaint claiming female footballers were being paid less despite generating more income. In 2019, the women's national team sued the governing body for $66 million under the Equal Pay Act, citing gender discrimination, not only in compensation, but also playing conditions. U.S. Soccer committing to equal pay for the women's and men's national teams. $22 million will be split between the players. That's about a third of the damages they initially sought. The other $2 million earmarked for a fund to benefit players in their post-career goals and female soccer charities.
We're trying to get to one structure for both the men's and the women's team so that everything is equal across the board.
The players saying the goal was more than just money.
To know that we, the players, have built a culture that has instilled a sense of value and fight, I think is a legacy that we're truly proud to leave behind.
The U.S. women's team has won 4 World Cup titles since the competition was founded in 1991. In New York, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
All right, coming up in sports, the Missouri Southern women climbing into the top 5 in the regional rankings this week, plus Pitt State baseball preparing to hit the road to Joplin for their MIAA League opener. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are in the final week of the basketball regular season. Pitt State has 2 more games before the conference tournament, beginning tonight on the road against Emporia State. The Gorillas trying to avoid a 3rd straight loss on the women's side after dropping a pair of games to Southern last week, but Emporia State comes out on top in this one, 93-86. Tristan Gegg scores a team-high 21 for the Gorillas. Corinna Gerber and Aaron Davis each add 16. After that one, the Pitt State men hit the floor against the Hornets. The Gorillas coming off 2 straight wins against Missouri Southern, while Emporia State has won 3 of their last 4. Bobby Arthur Williams scores 14 tonight for PSU, but the Gorillas fall in the end 75-52. The Missouri Southern women are moving up the regional rankings. The Lions are up 2 spots to number 5 in the Central Regional rankings this week. The top 8 teams in each region after conference tournaments will make the NCAA Division II National Tournament. Southern is 20-5 overall. They've won 13 games in a row, and they're tied with Fort Hays State for first place in the MIAA. Division I ball here, the Kansas Jayhawks won the Sunflower Showdown last night over K-State 102-83. Ochai Abaji scored 23 and passed Wilt Chamberlain on the program's all-time scoring list. As a team, it's the second time KU has scored more than 100 points in a game this season. They also put up 102 back in December against rival Mizzou.
I think a win would have given us confidence and momentum regardless, but we played pretty well offensively. I mean, we were cooking there for a while, and K-State played pretty well offensively too. We couldn't stop them, and they couldn't stop us there for a stretch. But it was a good game. The game had more pace to it than probably any game we played this year.
The Pittsburgh State baseball team kicks off their MIAA schedule this weekend. The Gorillas hit the road to face Missouri Southern for their first conference series of the season beginning on Friday. Now, Pittsburgh State has played 10 non-conference games this season. Right now, they're not off to the start they'd like. They're 4-6 overall, but they are coming off a series win over Wayne State.
Well, we're not very good right now, so we got to get a lot better. Our pitching needs to throw more strikes and be more competitive in the zone. Offensively, I think we've been pretty good so far, but I think we can do better. So we got a lot of little things to work on. It's been tough. You look at the weather. We don't get to get out and practice. You play a day, it's 70, and it's 30 the next day, and you're inside. But everybody's dealing with it. We just got to continue to get better each and every day.
And they've always been a really good team. They can always hit. Their pitching's good, so it'll be a good competition this week.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news right after this.
So bees do a lot more than just make honey. They pollinate a number of foods we eat, from berries to almonds to broccoli. These tiny workers are essential to our everyday lives. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty, though, has more on why some recent thefts are putting beekeepers on high alert.
People are buzzing over the recent uptick in beehive thefts in the country.
People think they can make a quick, easy buck by stealing hives and putting them into pollination.
In the past several weeks, more than 300 hives worth tens of thousands of dollars were stolen in the San Joaquin Valley in California. And another 384 vanished from a field in a county just north of San Francisco. Authorities in central Pennsylvania say about 60,000 bees stolen in their area.
Sadly, beekeepers are the only people stealing bees from other beekeepers. You have to have specialized equipment.
Our victim, a couple weeks ago, they've lost over $150,000 worth of bees. So it's definitely felony.
In the U.S., there are as many as 125,000 beekeepers, according to the United States Department of Agriculture. The annual income from direct honeybee pollination is estimated to be roughly $300 million. Experts are attributing the thefts to a shrinking supply of bees and the soaring cost to rent hives for pollination.
It takes us over a year to build a healthy hive. And so when it's stolen from us, it's not something we can easily replace.
The thefts have become so prevalent that beekeepers are turning to GPS tracking devices, surveillance cameras, and other anti-theft technology to protect their colonies. Officials are urging beekeepers to remain alert. They're also encouraging produce farmers who use bees to pollinate their crops to only hire people who can show proof of ownership for their hives. In Los Angeles, Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
The end of a trilogy with Jamie Lee Curtis. Hollywood Nation coming your way. From announcements and daytime talk shows to series first looks, Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has it all covered in today's Hollywood Nation.
Horror icons wrap, sci-fi series premiere, and Sherry gets a show in the Hollywood Nation.
Starting in September, I am debuting my own talk show, Sherry!
Sherry Shepherd's daytime talk show, Sherry, will premiere this fall and take over the time slots of The Wendy Williams Show. Shepherd has been one of the hosts filling in for Wendy during a health-related absence. Both shows have the same producers, who expressed great love for Wendy, saying they hope to work with her again and continue to wish her a speedy and full recovery. Production on The Wendy Williams Show will continue through the current season with rotating hosts.
It's over.
It's the beginning of the end, with Halloween ends, that is. Jamie Lee Curtis posted photos on Instagram along with a big thank you as her part in the film has been completed. And with it, the end for her of this trilogy. Halloween Ends following up Halloween Kills premieres in October. Curtis added she can't wait for the fans to see this movie.
I was sent to find you.
In today's Look at First Looks, Showtime reveals the trailer for The Man Who Fell to Earth. The book-to-screen drama series follows the David Bowie movie with a new alien character arriving at a pivotal point for the planet. The series stars Chiwetel Ejiofor and Naomi Harris. The first 2 episodes premiere April 24th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a platypus in Australia because platypus is a fun word to say. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.